Hello, people. Fire away.
Jason, you have 17 unrestricted free agents. Are you guys going to lean more on this draft class, or are you leaning more towards you need to re-sign these guys? Or can you talk to us a little bit about
It's it's a process. We always lean on the draft. That's where that's our bread and butter, and that's always been a basic principle for us. But we will obviously look at free agency as well, and we do. We're not shutting the door on any of our free agents. We're going to make attempts at signing some of them back. I don't want to get into names which ones we're prioritizing, but it's a lot of good players, and we have to make some decisions.
Jason, what would you say if you're looking at your offense from last season and then going into this season? What are some of the most important things you're hoping Zach Robinson brings that you guys didn't maybe were missing last year?
Well, a lot of the things, we never. I always hate saying this because it sounds like we don't hide behind the injuries. The injuries are everywhere in the NFL, but we were derailed a little bit by a lot of different offensive line combinations, asking Mecca to have to play multiple spots as a rookie, and as intelligent as he is, it's really hard on a rookie, especially when the proverbial rookie wall hits. And he had a long season at Ohio State and a short off season, all those kinds of things, and then missing J-Mac, and then the injuries to Mike and Chris. There was a lot of things, continuity, and then obviously the injury to Bucky. So the continuity that we had envisioned and hoped for wasn't there. So I would say that we're looking forward to getting back to that. We have an offensive line who we think is very, very good. It's one of our strongest rooms in the building, if not the strongest. And I think that was the key. Having that offensive line healthy and back, I think with Zach, a lot of, once again, continuity coming back with Liam's offense, I think will be beneficial for a lot of people, including Baker and everybody.
Jason, for the last couple of years, the pass rush has not been a you and Todd division. 36 sacks last year, I believe. What has led to you guys not getting after the quarterback with a four-man rush as you guys wanted to?
Yeah, the presence of Kalijah last year, or the lack thereof, kind of hurt things a little bit because they work in tandem. And that's just an area we own. It hasn't been great. I mean, I think Yaya's a very good young, still ascending player. And Anthony Nelson still makes clutch plays when his number's called. But that is an area that we need. That's one of the areas that we need to focus on, whether it's free agency, draft, what have you. It's obvious that NFL it's a pressure game. You need to get pressure on the quarterback in order to win. And it's not like we were getting blown out of these games. We were in a lot of close, tight games. But I think in order to take the next step from where we were in previous to 2025, which I think we will be, to take the next step, I think we need to get more pressure on the quarterback. Yeah, no, that's tough. It was tough for all of us. It was tough for any of us to look at any of the players and not feel the way we felt. I mean, coaches as well, the entire organization. I mentioned before, it was a painful experience to have our season slip away like that. But trust me, we all own it, and we're doing everything we can with our plans here moving forward to try to get back on track. And I'm confident that we will.
How much conversations with Mike's representation will kind of sharing what those plans are? Like a guy like him, he's only got maybe a few years left. That tends to be what they're looking for, like changes and things like that.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of conversations with him. We have a very open line of communication with his agent and his agents, and also with Mike.
Those communications had a different tenor than past off seasons.
No, I would say it's I would say have the same open lines, same discussions. I talked to Mike. He's earned the right to do this and to do what's best for him, and he knows that we'd love to have him back.
In the draft, how do you evaluate whether or not a guy's going to be able to be a good tackler at the NFL level?
Well, it's kind of a loaded question. There's a lot of ways, but number one, how do they tackle in college, and how tough are they? How well do they come to balance? What kind of athlete are they? How much desire do they have to play physical? I think a lot of those things come into play.
Jason, there was a report that connected you to Sean McDermott, offering him maybe a spot on the staff. Just curious what the level of interest was there, if there was any interest in that.
No, I don't know where that came from. No. I have a lot of respect for Sean. We work together. A lot of respect for him. But I don't know where that came from.
When you get to the linebacker room, do you feel any pressure to add instant impact players, or do you feel like you guys are in a spot where you could develop your own through the draft or any young guys?
Little both. It kind of depends. It just all depends on what's available and where you can fit them in. There's some really good young players that come out as rookies that can step in right away, and there's some ways that Todd can draw up his defense to maybe take a little bit more pressure off of them to be responsible for making all the plays. But I think we'd be open to either. It just kind of depends on who's available and what's out there.
It seems like here at the combine, fewer prospects actually participating in workouts and drills. Does that matter to you as an evaluator when you come here? Like, how important is the workout aspect of more of this?
I think it's important. I think we get a lot. It's just part of the resume of the player. It's part of what goes into our thoughts and our draft rank, our draft board, and things like that. It's not the final. It doesn't make up a huge percentage of the entire profile, but it is important. I think we like to see them compete first and foremost. If they don't, we like to see them at their pro day. If they work out and do everything at the combine, to be honest with you, that's fine if they don't work out at their pro day. But we like to see them compete. It's a part of it, yeah. I would hate to see the day where nobody is working out. That's to answer your question.
Jason, when you look at this draft class, at linebacker, edge rusher, defensive line, particularly the front seven, how deep is it? How talented is it at those three positions?
I would say there's quite a few players that we are, have fairly high on our draft board at this time. It's a very fluid process, but at edge and inside linebacker, more so than defensive tackle. That's not to say we can't find a defensive tackle, a good one at some point. This is not a draft where we have as many players, I would say, in that really top tier, which is fine. That's been the case in the past where we've still managed to draft well and have good players. So, but to answer your question, I think it's a fairly good crop this year, those positions.
Jason, when you look at last year with Barton, obviously having to play left tackle to start the season, then playing next to two different guards for most of the season, what do you think of his development, where he's at right now?
Well, I think in the end game, I think that's going to be good for him. It's good to go through these adverse situations. It was good to see him go out there and compete at left tackle. It was a lot was placed on him this year because of the injuries that we had, and he was up for the task. He was excited about it. A lot of guys wouldn't be, moving out from center to left tackle and to, play fairly well like he did. I think it was a lot on him. I don't think it's stunted his growth. I think in the end, it's going to be a positive for him.
Jason, it sounds like you expect Mike to get free agency. If that's the case and he does go talk to other teams, do you have any kind of guarantee that he'll come back and maybe you guys before he makes the finals?
We'll have to see how that goes. I can't tell you for sure that we would. I don't know. Right now we're in the point that we're at is he's kind of testing the market, and we know that we do have open lines of communication, and we always will. So, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's earned that.
Jason, you guys have scouted a lot of edge defenders and drafted a couple of receivers too. You talked about the need for that position. I'm just kind of curious, as you're still trying to look for answers at that position, has anything changed or evolved about the way you scout that position in college to the NFL?
I think it always does every year. We go back and look at, the players that we liked, how they developed, and there's a lot of them that we liked that have become good players, but we just didn't have the opportunity to take. I think the ones that we had some questions on maybe didn't fare as well, and you have to, whether they're with us or not, I'm not pointing out any particular player. I think it's always evolving, the process. We're always trying to find what it is that is the secret to success, and I think that will always be the case. There is no secret. It isn't scientific, but yes, we always are trying to find, to look for common traits that lead to success. I think there's just in recent years, players really are in tune with their bodies. I think they know how to take care of themselves a lot better than they did. And with their diet, with their off season, with their personal trainers, whatever it is, I think they've just done a much better job.
Jason, there's been increased conversation in the last few days about athlete mental health, obviously. As a general manager, what kind of things are you guys even looking to add to what you're already offering players to ensure they have the support they need, not just physically, but with mental health?
Yeah, I love the way that our organization taps into this with education, with Duke and with Joe Corello, how the open communication and education with the players on a regular basis to let them know if there's something that they need to talk about, that we have the resources for it. I think you can add resources, you can have even more communication, but right now I feel like we have a top-notch staff that's done an excellent job kind of getting through some situations.
Is Joe there every day? 'Cause I know some teams will have licensed mental health counselors, life coaches, but they're not necessarily there every day.
He's there on a regular basis.
Jason, last year, the biggest win you get from a great position was Hassan Reddick, with the hope that he would get back to making double-digit sack count. Why do you think that didn't work out?
Well, as you know, Hassan had some injuries too this year, and he really gave us a lot of effort. He's been a great teammate. I'm not regretting the last year signing Hassan, because he showed a lot of promise early in the year. But like I said, like a lot of players, he dealt with a lot of injuries that we did across the board in our team. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
Jason, I know questions for this draft picks very highly. How do you determine when you can part with some of those draft picks to maybe go get a player that can be in the
That's the tricky situation. It's you have to look at the whole picture. You have to see what you're, like I said before, not up here, but over there with some of you guys. You want to maintain flexibility at all times to be able to do something that might surprise you. Surprises always come up. Moving on from players that have been very good is very tough, especially when they're still playing at a very high level. But you also have to look into the future. So everyone is a individual case. It's not, you can't just use a broad stroke and say, when are you going to get rid of a player that's maybe getting up there in age. I think everybody's different. Some players can play longer than others. I would say at the end of the year when he came back and he was feeling good, he was back to Chris.
Jason, you gave us, you expressed confidence in what is it about him that gives you that level of confidence, even after having
Baker is just extremely tough, physically and mentally. He's an extreme competitor, and he's off the charts in those things. So we have all the confidence in Baker.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.